I would definitely say I'm not a member of Frozen 2's target audience. When the original released in 2013, the vast majority of Frozen's fans were children, most of which were captivated by the movie's lovable characters and chart-topping soundtrack. This shot Frozen up to the top of the popularity rankings where it stayed for a while. Disney's relentless marketing and mass production of a wide range of merchandise such as toys, games and apparel was a catalyst for one of the biggest and most profitable movies of the decade. Frozen raked in over $1.2 billion at the box office and was so popular that it was hard to escape it when out in public. Even at home you weren't safe from its presence due to radio stations playing its most popular song, Let It Go, at least once a day. When this movie was released, it was adored by children. Now, 6 years later, those children are most likely going through puberty. Disney clearly wanted to focus on this and thus tried to make the movie as relatable to these impressionable people as possible by shoehorning in as many themes of change and maturity as they could, so much so that you don't even have to have entered puberty yet to notice how blatant this was. Pretty much every character in this movie is going through some sort of development, no matter how arbitrary, and although I could talk about all of them, I'm going to focus on the worst example of these forced character developments, Olaf. Disney uses Olaf as a vehicle for younger children who don't understand what's going on in the movie. He basically spells out everything for the viewers and I thought it was extremely unnecessary. Anyone who is old enough to understand these themes doesn't need to have them explained to them, and anyone who's too young to understand them doesn't care about the themes, so he's pretty much an annoyance for anyone who doesn't just like him because he says funny relatable things all the time, which also gets annoying very quickly. Olaf even has an entire song dedicated to him experiencing new things and learning how to roll with the punches, teaching the adolescent viewers that you need to accept what life hands you and learn what you can from those experiences, i.e. puberty. This is emphasized in his death scene when he tells Anna to accept that he'll die and not to let it affect her too deeply. This would be a powerful moment that would teach children that death and change are a natural and inevitable part of life that you must accept, if it wasn't completely ruined by his revival at the end of the movie. Everything Olaf stood for was undercut in that moment by the need to have a happy ending with the fan favourite character still alive and kicking. Frozen 2 was clearly created to guide the adolescent viewers who were so fond of the original movie through their journey into adulthood. Whether it succeeds in this endeavour is down to personal experience, but in my opinion it fails miserably. While it tries its best to present a deep and emotional story that will impact its younger viewers, and most likely cause them to shed a tear or two, it ultimately pushes these important teaching moments to the side in favour of marketability and pandering to younger audiences. This drop in quality is also visible in review scores all across the board. Frozen 2 is consistently rated lower than the first movie, which is interesting because sequels usually perform better due to most of the audience being people who enjoyed the previous movie, the people who didn't obviously not coming back for the sequel. The original movie made such a huge impact on the world that it still occasionally crops up in pop culture 6 years later. However, its sequel has not made nearly as big of a splash and will most likely be forgotten, dwarfed by its superior predecessor. Frozen 2's songs aren't catchy enough to be played on the radio or sung by children for months after its release. It has no new characters interesting enough to put alongside the original cast. It has no substance, no meaning, no reason for existing. It's just a simple cash grab to capitalise on the original's success. No more than a pretty hollow shell.